All right. Well, I know you've got to go and do a bit of rehab yourself, so
That's fine.
let's get through. I've come up with some questions.
Yep.
We'll call it 5 in the bin,
Yep.
which we don't want you to go to the bin for 5. But anyway, I couldn't think of another name today when I came up.
Yeah.
So question 1 is, what brand of boots?
I have just started this year wearing Mizuno. So
Right.
when I was younger, I didn't have a deal with Adidas, but I used to get sent a lot of Adidas boots, joggers and all that.
Yep.
And then when I'd come up to North Devils, they were like, with the COVID times,
Yep.
they sort of held back on, some of their athletes and they pushed it towards the bigger dogs. And
Yep.
I totally understand. I was just a small fish then.
Yeah.
So as of now, I've gone through ASICs and I've worn ASICs for 2 seasons. I've done 2 ACLs in them. So for me, no more ASICs. And I've gone to Mizuno now. Mizuno have by far been the best boots I've ever worn.
Yep.
Now I've pretty much worn every boot under the sun now.
Wow.
So if I had have known anything about Mizuno's, I would have worn them.
At the start.
Yeah,
Yep.
100%. Yeah.
I know they've got a really good heritage in running shoes, and that's interesting to say because it's funny because I was listening to the Matty Johns podcast, which is obviously, pretty a little bit bigger than the 17 Media podcast, but anyway, we're getting there.
Not much.
And there was a lot of talk, and he talked to Craig Johnson, who was ex Socceroo and had a lot to do with the Predator boot when it came out, and he was saying a lot of ACLs and a lot of injuries on the ASICs front.
Yeah, well,
Yep.
I don't know the science behind it, and I know a lot of players, a lot of coaches, a lot of physios swear by ASICs.
Yep.
And I feel like they are a very comfortable boot and shoe. But for me, I've done 2 ACLs in them. I'd be the dumbest person in the world to then go out, wear ASICs for a 3rd season and do an ACL. I knew I wouldn't never forgive myself if I did that. No. So I was always looking for a good boot.
Yep.
And wearing the Mizunos, I'd only ever heard good things about it. And the thing is, not many people, if any people, wear them.
Yes, I know. They're probably very small. I mean, ASICS has just got a huge market share in footy boots these days.
Yeah, definitely.
Massive.
Yeah.
So you see the odd ones. Yeah, well, that's good to know. So hopefully, some of the young fellas can reach out and have a try on the Mizunos.
Yeah, I couldn't say a bad word about them. They're durable, they're light, they feel strong.
Yep.
Some boots, they feel flimsy. I have a wider foot.
Right.
And they fit my wider foot, really well.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that's great news. Number 2, Rugby League Idol. You may have played against a few of these or with a few of these.
Well, when I was real young, don't ask me how and why, but like I said, my first ever love was the Roosters. So it used to be Minicello, and then my older brother Mitchell, who signed with the Broncos, and then I became a Broncos diehard. And at that time it was Darren Lockyer. So it then changed to Darren Lockyer growing up all through my teens. And then once I sort of started playing football a lot more serious, it started to go to like players that I could revolve my game around. So I was a massive fan of like Ryan Hoffman. I thought at the time he was the best back row in the comp. I loved his line running, his toughness. That was a player that I always tried to mold my game around. So
awesome.
the older I got, the wiser I got, and then I started looking at people in my position. So Ryan Hoffman in the end, but started off with Minicello and Darren Lockyer.
So if I'm going to watch them, I'll watch someone I can learn something from.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. That's good. That's good. Toughest game you've ever played in? Is there one that stands out? I mean, they're all pretty tough at this level.
Yeah, I think the toughest game I've ever had to play was probably the 2016 Holden Cup Grand Final. So that was against Penrith. They didn't have Nathan Cleary back then, but they still had a lot of good players coming through. I think the score at halftime was 28-6 to them.
Wow.
So it was the largest comeback in Holden Cup against arguably the best team on the biggest stage. So as you can imagine what goes through your head, 28-6 at halftime. And, I feel like every single player would have had their heads down or think this is up. But, lucky. I wouldn't say lucky enough because it's not based on luck.
No, but that must have been some halftime speech from the senior leadership group and the coach.
Yeah, well, Tony Barnes, he started off very, very honest. Like he wasn't aggressive. He was sort of passive, and then it just sort of went up and up and up, and then it was F-bombs. It was every single word you can imagine that would get beeped out was thrown.
So it
in
was
that
just
speech.
a constant beep.
Yeah.
You'd want to get out of there and back on the field.
Yeah,
I would
exactly
think.
right.
Yeah.
So,
But to get to the end of that and win it, what a feeling.
Oh, that was arguably one of the best feelings that I've experienced in my rugby league career.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. That's so good.
Yeah.
I was going to say number 4 is what's the one thing that the fans don't really know about, but I think we've probably covered that off with your detail about your injury and all the effort that you go to get fit and get back on the field, unless you've got another there, what they don't see.
I don't know. Like we've spoken about before with my family, I come from a pretty, a pretty strong sporting family. Like my brother was obviously, if you're a Wynnum fan, you know who my brother is. He was captain here for a couple of years and played. I think he played 99 or 98 games for Wynnum.
Wow.
But like the 2 people in my family that don't really get spoken about enough is my oldest brother Harrison, who, his golfing ability is through this roof. Like he plays pennants for Wynnum and used to be one team, and he's won the pennants and all that before. So he's pretty talented. And then my mum being a netballer, but I think the one thing that most people probably don't know is probably my dad, to play professional in 2 different sports. So professional cricket for Sheffield Shield for the Queensland Bulls. And then for the Western Bulldogs, if someone did that these days, they would be considered probably Australia's best athlete. But for him
100%.
back then in that generation, it's quite common. Cricket is played in the summer, then you'd go over and convert and play AFL in the winter. So for him to do that was...
Oh, that's next level.
Yeah, you will never probably hear that again playing professional in those 2.
No, it's very special, very special. And the last thing, if you weren't a professional rugby league player, what would Brendan Frei be doing?
I wasn't a professional just outside of rugby league in general.
Anything you want. Yep.
Yeah. See, I love my sport, so it'd be involved in sport in somehow. What that is, what sport that would be, I don't know. I think if I did have to say something, I probably would have gone down the Aussie rules path. I think lucky for me, I sort of have a bit of height and, I'm someone that struggles to put on weight or hold weight. So I think being a taller and a slimmer build, I think I probably would have suited playing Aussie rules a lot more. So
Oh, very good. Oh, well, that's awesome, mate. First player and first 5 in the bin. You've nailed it. We really appreciate your time, and the audience is going to get a lot out of that one, mate. So
thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We'll all be looking forward to seeing how you get on this year.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, mate. Fantastic.